So where do I begin? As you guys may presume, it's been a difficult and interesting, maybe even traumatic last few days for me. So about a week ago I decided, but didn't really decide, unconsciously decided to attempt to kill myself, not only for the first time, but the second time in my life. And I know I've never opened up about, this is really hard, my suicide attempt the first time when I was about either 15 or 16. I ended up making a video, like a story time about my suicide attempt, and it was just so unbearable for me to even watch that I decided not to upload it. And that was, I made it years ago and still can't find the urge to do that. And I guess it's a big wake-up call, the fact that I'm vulnerably sharing with you guys that I have made a decision like this again in my life. And I just wanted to kind of put it out there that no, I do not intend on sharing specific details for many reasons, for the reason of my own self-preservation, my own self-analysis, and just many things. And then also for the fact of the story includes other people, and I don't want anyone to have a biased opinion or negative thoughts on perceiving the people in my life. So yes, this is not a story time. I'm not going to share specific details on how it happened, everything that happened, what was said, what was done. But I am going to share the fact that, one, if you or loved one have ever experienced trying to take your own life, or if you know of someone who has tried to take their own life, please do everything you can to understand where they are, where they were, and where they're coming from. And no matter your belief about this person or yourself, just do everything you can to not judge, because we have our own inner judgments within. Criticizing these really horrific moments of falling hard, and it doesn't help to blame, it doesn't help to project anger and disappointment, because at this moment, essentially, it's the only thing that people like myself and others in this scenario need is support and love and forgiveness. So right now, I'm like really shaky in my mouth. I've had cotton mouth for days now, and that's due to the fact that, again, I tried to overdose, and my body is not doing well right now. It doesn't know how to detox these poisons from myself. And I guess this video is just it's just really me reaching out to others, because I kind of forgot what it's like to go on after you do something like this. Because when I was a teenager and I tried to continue my life, it translated in such a different way, and my experience from when I was younger to now is so vastly different that the intentions were different. the high emotions and the feelings were different, and the way I healed was different. And as of right now, I have no idea how to heal. I personally don't know anyone in my own life that I can talk to that's tried to do something like this. And if you're a person who has gone through this and hasn't told anyone, I think it's so important, if you're not in therapy, to immediately try to get yourself to go to therapy, because being heard and given advice and support and making sure people are going to check up on you and that they're going to make you commit to throwing away things that you can harm yourself with, like pills and razors and whatever it is. And even though they themselves, like a therapist or psychiatrist or a counselor, may not fully relate because they haven't been through the experience, they do have the professional training to assist you out of it, to allow you to re-enter your life. Because the first time I tried to do this, I had to figure it out myself. Like, I had my family, but they were clueless. Like, I remember being a teenager, and about a week later I started self-harming again, and no one asked me how I was doing for years and years. And I had fallen many times throughout those 5 to 6 years in between, and my largest disappointment right now is the progression that not only myself, my therapist, my family and friends could see, but also just the fact that I guess I'm here again. And it's really difficult when you think that you're doing so well and then something really traumatic triggers you and there's no escaping it. And I'm in such a critical state of mind right now, such a judgmental, harsh, intense place, and a betrayal of my loved ones and myself and the people around me. And I'm trying to figure out how to forgive myself and how to forgive others for both allowing me to get to this point and for not taking care of me when I needed it most. Oh, I don't think I've ever made a video like that I felt this nervous and intense about, so bear with me. One thing I recommend that's helped me this time around is disconnecting, turning off everything. And I did this for about a week. I deactivated, deleted, removed myself from almost all social media except YouTube, because I don't really look at YouTube that much. I haven't gone on. I have made sure to not tell anybody about my experience I don't feel safe about telling to yet. The only people that know are the immediate people around me, so a few of my family members that went through it with me, and my therapist and myself. So my one advice is kind of just take a step back, and it's time to internalize. But another thing is also, it's kind of difficult, don't allow yourself to be alone the first few days. Literally the day after or like 2 days after, I was triggered so intensely again by someone in my family for their lack of empathy, lack of concern, lack of love, understanding, and I felt so crushed and destroyed that I immediately wanted to go self-harm, and I immediately started to think about ways I could kill myself, only like 2 days after. So don't allow yourself to be alone, or don't allow yourself to be around those who trigger you. Be very selective with who you surround yourself with, what you do and watch, who you're interacting with. And another thing that's important after the incident, the first thing you need to do, and I've already said this, is throw away all paraphernalia that could potentially harm yourself or trigger you. And if the event happened in your own home, I'd ask a loved one to, maybe clean up whatever happened and stay with someone else and don't go home for a while, because it's extremely triggering. Coming back to my own house, I have had extreme nightmares. I woke up last night drenched in sweat and tossing and turning, crying, and I just kept having these really intense traumatic dreams just for the mere fact of being back here. It all comes back down to it, and you can't avoid it. And another really important part, I'd say, to help you get through processing is start journaling, because that's really going to be the only time that either your therapist or family members really allow for you to be alone. And if you don't have a journal, please go get one, because it gives you safety. It gives you that security you need to be able to express how you need to express. And last, if you don't have someone, there are so many suicide hotlines and all of these things like group therapy that you can go to. There's inpatient services, which my therapist literally did not recommend for myself because of many reasons, but outpatient therapists where you get to go home or to a loved one's house, but then you have to go to therapy and counseling and group counseling for a set amount of time until they can evaluate that you're in a better mental state of being. And then last, I just want to give you and myself the sympathy and the forgiveness that we all need for falling to these places. And just because you have found yourself in this position either once, twice, 3 times, several times, does not mean that there's no more hope and that you aren't going to progress from here. Because sometimes in life you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and that doesn't mean it's the end-all be-all. And it's insane to say, but both the first time and the second time, I have seen through the 5 to 6 years of transitioning so much growth, so much realization, so much forgiveness. Yes, I had destroyed myself in many ways. I had fallen into very deceptive coping mechanisms and traps, but I also grew to be a human of love and kindness and forgiveness, and I helped others so much because I had been to such a dark place. I wanted to assist others in that. And this time around, it's so fresh to me, but I can already feel the maturity and the real need to kind of wake myself up, wake up the people around me, wake up people on the interweb that these things are real and people do struggle with this. And even if yourself and myself found that you have tried to end your life and tried to hurt yourself or sabotage yourself, and then there's a period of time where you don't, it doesn't mean that that event didn't happen. Because my mistake the first time is allowing others and allowing myself to completely forget that I ever tried to kill myself. And this time, I've seen the pattern of the people around me, literally the moment after they found out, I'm not kidding, the moment, neglect the fact that it happened, pretended like I'm okay, it's not going to happen again. and that I've let out my demons, I've let out all of these things, and now I'm okay, and I can forget about it. And that's just not true. There's so much more to work on. Once something so traumatic like this has been established, you can't just leave it a raw, open wound left on its own. It's not going to heal properly. You actually have to take accountability for your actions, take accountability for the event, and do all that you can to mend it, to heal it, to wrap it, to take care of it, to nurture it, and to teach others how to do the same to your own wounds and for themselves. There's literally so much more I want to talk about. I want to talk about the absolute numbness and the emotion I have felt. And I want to say that, well, first let me explain. So the very first time I tried to hurt myself for eternity, I suppose you can say, was intended off of a high emotion, a extreme, uncontrollable, irrational, and impulsive, overbearing feeling. I remember an event that tortured me, and it made me just topple over from all of the pain I felt. And I remember the planning I had felt in my mind and the intensity, and how I went home and went through with my plan. And one, if you ever start to really plan and you know exactly what you're going to do and the intensity you're going to do it at, please just stop and call somebody. Please stop and take a breath and remember your very own life. Remember your worth. And if you can't, then, like I said, reach out, because you don't, in those final moments when you're not capable to save yourself, half the time you don't want to be there. So, and then the second experience I had was the complete opposite, where I had a very triggering event and I fell weak to it, I fell a victim to it, and the difference this time was I allowed myself to rest. I allowed the chance to not act impulsively or irrationally, but the following morning, and this is the concern that I have, because it was so unlike my very first suicide attempt, was that I woke up the next day to my husband just leaving and not saying anything, not amending anything. And I woke up with an emptiness I've never felt in my entire life. An unknowingness of who I was. I didn't even plan to kill myself the night before. I didn't even, in that moment, have a conscious thought of planning to kill myself. I literally didn't know who I was. I didn't think about my family, my nieces, my nephew, my husband, my parents, my life. I didn't think about anything because I wasn't even there. And if you have ever found yourself in this position of complete numbness, of a deep, deep dissociation where you are so out of reach with reality, if you can, please do your best to either just try to fall asleep and lay there, or go knock on someone's door, or go call them, because what happened to me is I allowed this numbness, and out of robotic hypnotism, I ended up grabbing everything I had in my house, my pills and just everything, and downing them like it was nothing. I didn't even comprehend that this was wrong, that this was dangerous. And I acted like everything was normal. I cleaned the house, I went about my day, and then I laid back down to rest, not even comprehending any consequence, just knowing a finality of, this is my decision, I've done this, I don't want a way out, and that's that. And that is the most terrifying aspect, is that I've had this repetitive type of numbness for such a long time, but I didn't really explain to anyone how it was. And because I didn't ever explain to someone this numbness, it crept up on me, this new monstrous numbness that I've never experienced came up on me, and I didn't even understand what it was because I had never experienced it ever before this deeply. And it took control. And it wasn't me, and it didn't feel like me. I was completely not silken in that moment of time. And I'm just asking and telling you, if you've ever just felt slightly numb before, please go get help, because that numbness will creep up and build and build and build. And you don't want to find yourself in a position where it completely devours you. And at this moment in time, I do not feel comfortable talking about my exact experience and what happened and how I'm here now and who helped me, or was I helped, or was I alone through it all. I can't get myself to be in the position to want to share that at this moment. And I'm not sure if I ever will, because it was by far the most traumatic experience I think I've ever had in my life. And I'm still processing so much and trying to forgive the people around me. But I don't even know where this video went. It felt so chaotic. I don't even want to edit it. I just don't even want to see it again, and I'm merely putting it up there for you guys and for people who have either found yourself there, feel like you're going to get there, or if you know someone who's going to get there, please get help. I am begging, please get help, whatever that may be. Or if you know of someone, do your best to be compassionate, kind, and gentle with them. I love you all, and I am really thankful that I have this opportunity to open up, and this is really hard, and I feel so ugly for me. And I just want to thank you guys for hopefully not judging me and not condemning me, but trying to understand where I'm coming from. And I just hope that if you need someone in a moment of despair, that you will reach out to a friend, a family member, me, anyone. Please just reach out.